7 people are still in hotels. Nick Perot talked to fire officials and the Red Cross about the situation and actually the complications as well with this, Nick. And is there any word when those people will be allowed back into their homes?
Well, Jane, the best guess right now for management and the Red Cross looks like a few days. Now, speaking with Lansing Fire Steve Babcock, he told me it looks like everything here from an equipment side of things, smoke detectors and alarms worked properly, worked the way it should have, Jane. But there's one key reason why those 7 people are in a hotel tonight instead of their homes here at Friendship Manor. It was an accidental fire that forced ladders to the 6th floor.
It's evidence collection and going room by room, you know, and in many cases you're going, you know, square foot by square foot.
To assess the char from the fire. But while the sprinklers were able to get a hold of the fire quickly, Steve Babcock says that resulted in significant water damage.
Water finds the lowest point of gravity, so it goes down and goes through the walls.
Forcing 7 people to be put in hotels with the help of the Red Cross and donations.
Those units that cannot be occupied today will probably not be occupiable before at least Wednesday.
Paul Spada with the Red Cross spent most of the day answering calls and says they're still looking for donations to help those 7 people buy clothes for the next few days.
I have learned that there is a resident who spent last night sleeping in the office where she works. We're going to try to find a place for her today.
Now, this isn't the first time fire has hit this complex. Back in 2012, another upper complex fire forced dozens from their homes. 3 fires in total over the last 4 years.
It's not that unusual. If you will, this is just a neighborhood that goes up in the air as opposed to spread out over several blocks.
Babcock says the smoke detectors and alarms worked like they were supposed to, and structurally everything checks out okay here. It's just an unfortunate scenario.
What we do know now is that we've got several people who are hurting from this.
So back out here live, Jane, with that water damage, fire department will take it day by day to assess when those 7 people can return back into their homes. And a side note, the Red Cross wants to thank some of the people that live inside Friendship Manor here. They actually opened their homes to some of their neighbors that otherwise, Jane, would have been put in a hotel. So again, 7 people tonight in a hotel. Looks like the next few days before they'll be able to come back inside here. If you'd like to help out, of course, you can call the Lansing Red Cross at 484-7461. Again, that's 484-7461. We're live tonight in Lansing in front of Friendship Manor Apartments. Nick Perot, 6 News.
Tonight, 6 News has confirmed there is an open fraud investigation going on with Lansing Police. Both the school board president and district spokesperson tell us it involves former school board member Nicole Armbruster. Now, the school board is set to meet tonight for their regular meeting and officially accept Armbruster's resignation. Our Nick Perot there right now. And Nick, you've been in touch with her attorney. What does he say tonight?
Well, good evening, Jane. That's right. I spoke with Eric Shepard, who told me that, yes, he is in fact representing Nicole Armbruster, trustee for the school board here in legal matters, but declined to comment on anything specific related to an investigation. Now, I also spoke with Lansing Police Public Information Officer Robert Merritt, who told me that he had met Monday with Lansing School District officials to discuss allegations of possible fraud, and following those discussions, there was an investigation that had started. Now, I'm joined now with Peter Spatafor, the school board president. And Peter, what can you say to those discussions on Monday to get to this point? What was going on Monday?
You know, we discovered some perceived irregularities in a PTA fund, and in order to ensure a thorough and fair investigation, we determined it was best, the district determined it was best, and in the public's interest, to turn it over to the Lansing Police Department to allow for an impartial and fair, thorough investigation of those perceived irregularities.
Anything, Peter, with the irregularities in terms of a time frame? We're talking recent, talking last few years?
I'm going to have to refer that question to the police department, but we thought it was best that they handle the situation so that it was kept above the board and out of the district's hands and very thorough.
Looking for ways to keep you and your family warm. Our Nick Perot talked with the local fire department that wants to remind you how to keep safe. Nick is outside right now in these freezing temperatures, but I know he's dressed for it. Good evening, Nick.
Good evening, Sherry. That's right. Got the double gloves, got the double socks going on. We spoke with Delta Township Fire Inspector Michael Roberts, who says in these cold temperatures, you want to make sure your furnace is properly running. You want to make sure that your vents open and close as they should, and you want to avoid using space heaters whenever possible. You can see in this video that we shot back in November with the fire department, just in a matter of minutes, less than 5 minutes, Sherry, this burn unit was up in flames just by having some ordinary clothes and blankets too close to a space heater. And Inspector Michael Roberts says there's multiple reasons you want to avoid space heaters at all costs.
Preferably, you don't want to use space heaters because they do two things. They put a lot of heat in one space that could ignite or catch fire, but they also draw a lot of energy and a lot of electricity, and that will actually pull on your system, and if it's not set up for your electricity to do that, then you could cause fire in another way.
And Inspector Roberts says if you have to use a space heater, make sure you have 3 feet away from any combustibles. So those blankets, those shirts, anything that could be near it, make sure you have 3 feet of separation. And he says also note, Sherry, generators, of course, we talk about them every year. Make sure you're using them in an open space, not in the garage, definitely not inside. It seems like common sense, we say it every year, but yet fire departments are still responding to plenty of fires from space heaters and even some generators.
Even the breezeway that would go between your garage and your home can sometimes pick up enough draft to put all that carbon monoxide into your homes.
And taking a look at the numbers, Sherry, just to see how dangerous, top 5 causes of fires, space heaters. And most deadly and cause most injuries, second, space heaters. Sherry, we're going to send it back to you.
Lansing Center is where we continue our team coverage tonight. Nick Perot is there, where many of the evacuated residents still are right now. He joins us now with the latest. Nick?
Well, good evening, Lauren, and we have learned good news over the last hour or so. Right now at the Lansing Center, about half of those people, so between 40 or so, are being loaded back onto CATA buses to go back to Friendship Manor. Now, over the last hour or so, the main concern from Lansing Fire Department and the Community Emergency Response Team was to get people inside, to get them warm, to get them something to drink, maybe some hot coffee, keep them calm, and figure out where they are from, figure out if they've got any neighbors or family members that could come get them in the area. Now, we've talked with Steve Babcock, Lansing Fire Department. He told me that they've had some contact with some family members, and right now we've seen some come through the area to pick up their loved ones again. About half, Lauren, are being sent back to Friendship Manor through CATA. Others have been picked up by family members. Again, a lot going on here this evening. You can see right now more people filing on to CATA. So good news, about half the people involved in this fire are going to go back into their homes in Friendship Manor. As for the other half, Lauren, Lansing Fire Department and the Red Cross are still trying to figure out where they can put them. If you have somebody that lives in this apartment complex, it's best for you right now to come down to the Lansing Center and pick up your loved one. They're working on getting a call system set up, but for right now, head to the Lansing Center and you can pick up your loved one from this fire. We're live tonight outside the Lansing Center. Nick Perot, 6 News.
All right, thanks, Nick.
Mailbox idea.
Well, I think it's really important for us to try to create a city that's safe all year round.
Safe as in not having people choose the street to walk in, like these two, over a perfectly good sidewalk.
Basically, the orange properties are properties that have been inspected.
So public service employees today checked their system for complaints and snow and icy sidewalks that should have been shoveled and tagged them.
Part of our message is not only to enforce this, but also to educate people and saying, hey, you may not know, but it's very important for you to clear the walks.
Crews tackled a list of areas where they had complaints or some where the snow was just too high. If these people don't clear the area in front of their house and leading up to the door, they'll have to pay a minimum $124 removal fee by the city for the first 20 minutes and $52 for every 20 minutes following.
I don't think it's that big of a deal to be ticketed, but still, I mean, it all depends on how strict they want to be about it. I mean, I just don't want to get fined either way.
Raleigh Schneider says some people are just plain lazy, but the idea of a fine doesn't sit well with him.
So you should have your walk cleared. I see a lot of people that are disabled coming through here all the time.
But the notices weren't limited to homes either. Businesses like this Shell gas station and abandoned buildings were tagged reminding the owners it's their responsibility to clear the walkways.
That's something that our residents deserve, something that our businesses deserve, and really our people that traverse the sidewalks really deserve.
And back out here live, Sherry, Chad Gamble says, look, this is not about the city fining people. This is about safety. Bottom line, get your sidewalk shoveled. Whether you can't do it, ask a neighbor, ask a church member, ask a local organization. And heck, I spend enough time out here in the snow. Call me up. I'll help you shovel your sidewalk as well. Now, if you have some complaints around the area that you think should be shoveled, you want to call the Public Service Department at 517-483-4161. We're live tonight in Lansing. Nick Perot, very cold, Sherry. Back to you in the studio.